Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 2nd of August, 2019. What was yesterday, Leah?
The Trump rally.
The day after the Cincinnati Trump rally, which was absolutely amazing. We're going to show you clips of that. We have so many interviews. We got more interviews yesterday than I think that we've ever gotten. It was so wonderful. So if you're joining us because you found out about us yesterday, welcome, and it was wonderful to meet you, regardless of your political opinion, because we did talk to some of Generation Y and Z.
Stay tuned for that, because I want to cut up some of those videos, because they talked.
There were some protesters.
But you know what? We didn't. The main protesters, which I saw on the news later, showed up way after we got in, and left way before we got out.
Wimps.
Didn't even see them.
I bet Millie got a hold of them.
I don't even know they existed. So they're like, their existence was only for the news. Although the mainstream media actually gave them half and half. So there was a little handful of them, thousands and thousands of Trump supporters. They showed a clip of like 2 Trump supporters and like equal time to the protesters. But that's absolutely insane because that's not equal.
Over 20,000 people showed up because the U.S. Bank Arena holds 20,000 people. And as we were sitting there 3 hours early, it was half full. By the time Trump spoke, every seat in that house was packed, and there were people waiting outside. The only reason it was half full
was because they took so long to get the people in.
Yeah,
because of the security.
They wouldn't let us in with our equipment, so it's on the list to go ahead and get one of those silly press passes, which I've been avoiding doing because I don't want them to know. I don't want to register. I don't like registering for anything. I want to stay low key, under the radar.
So we heard a lot from these people, and I asked them where they got their news from, because the mainstream media, and they were all so well informed.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to bring up Ben's interview. We've had a young Generation Z. You'll find the Generation Z, I have goosebumps, they're coming up, and they are way more informed.
Right.
They do not know a world without the internet.
Yeah.
I guess Generation Z, the oldest is like 22 now. I was looking up to see what Generation Z would be.
All right.
So you have the millennials, which are the large swath of young people, I guess 23 to 30, mid-30s, actually. That's the millennial generation.
I'm confused because I'm not really sure where I belong.
You identify with Generation X, but you're actually Generation Y.
I'm not a millennial.
Well, I think technically these millennials are really people who had junior high and high school with internet. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Like we did, but it was like email.
Well,
internet equaled email.
Sat in junior high, and my teacher said, we're going to have this thing called email, and it will be going through the phone lines.
Yeah.
And
you're really showing your age.
I know. It was really kind of crazy. So let's listen to Ben here. This was really fun.
Our age shows us when we played, what was that? Like, the wagon video game?
Oregon Trail.
Thank you. Yeah, that's us. If you've never played Oregon Trail, you don't belong in our generation.
That was how they were trying to get kids, because they worked on getting kids brainwashed into using computers.
They did. They really did.
So they started you, and I didn't start, you know how old you are by what age you started Oregon Trail.
There you go. All right, so here is a list of our videos, and I'm going to leave this up for a second so I can show you what Patriot Gallery has put together. Thank you, Patriot Gallery, by the way, for doing so many of these videos and interviews.
The Yang Gangers are up.
The Yang Gangers are up. That's really exciting. I want you guys to check that out. Check out all these videos from yesterday, and there are more to come. Some of the best is yet the best. Okay, so we're going to go with Ben here to start with.
Listen up. The soap you shower with?
Oh, look, we have an ad.
Look at that. Okay, so.
Hey, so are you college, high school?
I'm a senior in high school.
Okay, you're at the Trump rally. What do your friends think about you supporting Trump?
Most of my friends are conservative, support me, and I'm excited. I wish I could have some more come, but how they weren't able to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you noticed a difference since you're in high school between like college kids? Because I've noticed that a lot of high schoolers, the generation, what do they call themselves, Z or something, are more conservative than the millennials. What do you guys think of the millennials and the safe space and the snowflakes?
I think that a lot of like money, especially economically, they're not as smart. Like for me, as seeing the college debt and stuff rise, and that bubble's gonna burst someday, that's something I want to avoid. So by going to like more of a local college, saving on room and board, and then so I'm able to go out into the real world, get my job, and then pay the rest of my college off.
So you wouldn't rather just vote for Bernie and get free college? You might want to just pay for it yourself. Why wouldn't you want free college?
Because the taxpayers are going to pay for it, and I don't want to be paying for college when I'm 80.
You mean it's not free?
No, nothing is free.
Somebody's going to pay for it. So like what you're saying is that when you're 40 or 50 and you're making good money, you don't want to be paying for everybody else's college, especially because prices are skyrocketing. The price of college is definitely skyrocketing.
Yeah, that's something I don't want to. I think his immigration policy is really good. It basically puts a filter between legal and illegal immigration.
Right.
With illegal immigration, obviously there's a lot of crime and drugs and stuff that comes over our border and threatens American citizens. And it's almost like an insult to people who have come here legally.
Right.
And through that process, they've had to wait 5 to 10 years with grabbing green cards and becoming citizens. So I think it basically puts a filter on putting emphasis on coming here legally.
So you're not a racist. You're anti-crime, anti-drugs, anti-sex, and child trafficking.
Yes. Yep. Definitely. Ilhan Omar. That's a pretty easy question to answer. I mean, with her in Antifa, she's pro Antifa. So.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, just so you know, it's a very easy question to answer too.
So that's my next question. Since where are you getting your news from? Because the mainstream media
That's a good question.
is not very favorable to Trump. So how do you know about Ilhan Omar? How do you know about these border policies?
I know about it through Instagram channels or pages, as well as Fox News, and the disgrace that she is in Congress to us.
And she is a disgrace,
Yeah.
and there's a possibility that she may have come here by nefarious means.
Yes, yeah. Going and marrying her brother.
Right.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous and disgusting.
So I love your fisherman MAGA hat here.
Yeah.
How confident are you walking out in the street with that hat on?
There are times when I'm a little nervous, but you know, if somebody's gonna do something, I always just try to be polite to them and represent what people, Trump supporters, should represent.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Ben. I'll give you a card to our YouTube channel, and you can find yourself.
Thank you.
All right. So after Ben, do you want me to play the Walk Away young lady?
Yeah, it's great.
Me and my mom really support him, and my dad likes him too.
Yeah.
And I was raised in a Democratic family, but I chose Republican after my fiance showed me.
Really?
And I really like it. He's done a lot, and
So when did you make the switch? How many years ago?
like a few months ago, actually.
It's a few months ago. So have you heard of the Democratic walk away movement?
I just learned about it today.
Just today. Well, there's a gay guy in New York. His name is Brandon Straka.
And
he has this movement that's called Walk Away from
yesterday,
the Democratic
and he
Party after seeing the lies in the mainstream media. Wow, so just a couple months. So you were so you said your parents, are they now Trump supporters?
My dad always has been. My mom just recently was, a few months ago as well.
Okay, so it happened through your boyfriend, but
Fiance.
by watching the mainstream media, you wouldn't think that people would leave the Democratic ideals, because all Trump supporters, as you can see, are xenophobic, racist, hateful people. I mean, why would anybody become a Trump supporter?
Well, everybody here I've seen so far is so nice, and they've got hospitality, and they're just really nice people.
Yeah. So you are more a left-leaning liberal. What kind of, have you done like a 180? Like, were you pro-choice and are you now pro-life? I mean, what are the policy changes that have gone inside your mind?
Everything's changed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been a big, complete change for my life.
So do you feel happier?
Yes, very much happier.
So when Trump was elected, were you sad?
Not really. I wasn't really into politics.
Okay.
I know that my family was sad before they switched, and then now it's all happy.
Yeah. Does the country seem better off or worse off since Trump has been elected?
I've noticed more conflict, but I think it's better off because there's a whole lot more jobs, there's more income for people, and I think it's a lot better.
Okay. Well, what was your name?
Rebecca.
Rebecca. It's very nice to meet you. And so right here with Rebecca, there's at least two people who have left the Democrats to join the Republicans, and they're not sorry about it.
All right, so we're gonna end that there because you guys can watch all of these videos yourself. Do you want to take a break and maybe cover some news, and then we can come back for our happy place,
which is
so
to
talk
fun.
to
the
Trump supporters.
Man, alive! We got so many. My main question that I asked people was, so the mainstream media calls you a racist.
Are you a racist? And they all were like, no, and it's offensive actually. And I did want to hit on.
They were offended.
Oh, they're totally offended.
Why would you ask me that?
Well, not even why would you ask me that, but like, you know, it's offensive because we do know that they think that's what they are saying. And when we talked to these protesters last night, and I'm going to give a punchline, you were wearing your Trump hat, and you said, "Does wearing this hat make me racist?" And these young people were like, "Yes, absolutely." And I want to do a video for them, and I may or may not, but I thought this is what I would want to say to you if you're here watching. Does being heartbroken over the fact that inner cities are torn down and
black babies are being murdered.
Planned Parenthood literally puts their facilities in black neighborhoods just to use eugenics on black people. That breaks my heart.
Racist. These pro-lifers are horrible racists because
they want black babies to live. And
wouldn't a racist want to exterminate?
So race isn't just black. So let's take Mexicans for an example. Does it make me a racist when I want the Mexican and South American families who have been waiting in line to come to our amazing country be able to come in and not have people cut in line in front of them so that they can't come when they've been doing it the right way? Does it make me a racist that I don't want drugs coming up from South America? Does it make me a racist that I don't want gangs coming up from South America? Does it make me a racist that 1 in 3 children that are coming over the border are being child trafficked and aren't even coming with their parents? Does all of that make me a racist?
Me sick to think the fact that they literally let a guy in who bought a kid for $80 go into the country with that kid.
That doesn't make you a racist, and it breaks my heart that these young people have been brainwashed to think that this one line, like, okay, if you don't let Mexicans into America, all Mexicans into America, then you're a racist. But no, racism, and I think the definition has been redefined. Racism is when you just don't. Racism when you hate a certain race.
If you treat somebody differently
because of their race.
You don't let them into your business.
Right.
You don't frequent their business.
Right.
You treat them differently.
Right.
Because of the color of their skin. And that is racism.
And these kids don't understand that that's what racism is, because I love Mexicans. I love South Americans. I love Hispanics. I love blacks. I love Indians. I love people of all color. And I want those that want to be in America, that get in line and do it properly, to be here. And I want my inner cities that are full of
I want them to have a
crime.
better life.
And when Trump talks about rats, that the rats get taken care of,
right,
and they don't have to live with rats anymore, which is exactly what Trump was talking about.
Right.
That's what I want. I want black and African American families to be thriving and not hooked on
the cities are rat infested because people are black. You want them just to you want black people to not have to live with rats.
Well, I think that these kids, they're so young.
The two sides of that coin.
They're so young that they are not, and they're kept. This information is kept from them. That right around the time of the Civil Rights Movement, African American families were units.
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage is, but I want to say it's at least 80% of African American families were actually families.
I think it was 7% of kids were born out of wedlock.
7% of kids were born out of wedlock.
Maybe 7.
And then
7%
we
white,
started
12% black.
incentivizing having children out of wedlock and put them on the welfare system and started treating them like they were less than.
Mm-hmm. It was the Democrats who started to treat them as less than.
The family unit that was the black family unit. Does it make me a racist when I say I don't want the black family unit to be torn apart? That I want to see healthy, thriving, prospering African American families? Does that make me a racist? No. And these kids don't understand the definition of racism.
I want to see black CEOs. I want to see black presidents. I want to see black senators.
And somehow they have got this.
Because here's the thing.
Mixed message. It's been brainwashed in them.
There's the guy running in Michigan who I love, and he's black.
Yeah. I can't remember his name either.
James?
It's something James.
James. Something James. Anyways, he's got his co-pilots 75, 85% of his co-pilots, he calls people who support him, are like middle-aged white people.
I like that.
They're not racist.
Right.
They want, here's the thing. If you are voting for a black man to be your senator, you're asking him to lead you. That is the inverse of racism.
But they think that you can be a racist without even knowing it. Like somehow
That's the key.
You don't know that you're being a racist. No. Historically speaking, every person that was a racist
wanted to
knew
vote for
they
Ben
were
Carson?
a racist.
You know why they wanted to vote for Ben
We
Carson?
talked to people yesterday that said they wanted to vote
Because
for Ben Carson.
he was pro-life and he loved God.
Ben Carson was actually
soft-spoken
we don't
pro-life
remember because
Christian
it
man.
seems like it was forever ago.
Yeah.
But he was the only competition to Trump in that that race.
As
He was
far
the
as
only
the
one that
Christians
could have
went,
beat
they weren't
him
going
up.
for Rand Paul. They
Right.
weren't going for Bush. Christians that I talked to said it was a choice between Trump and Ben Carson.
Exactly.
And that's everybody says I
Right.
want to vote for, and Ted Cruz was kind of an outlier there, but Ted Cruz,
Right.
it was Trump and Ted Cruz and Ben Carson right here.
Right.
Right? Because a lot of people don't like Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
And those people like Ben Carson. So here's this tweet here. Democrats 2020 strategy. Everything is racist. Democrats,
sad.
the White House is racist because it's white people, then paint it black. OMG, that's racist too. Paint it another color. Just one color? Why are you preaching division and hate and not including all colors? Racist. Me, Black Panther 3 was a great movie. Only a great movie? Why are you a racist? Okay, it was a great movie. Now you're only calling it great because you're a white man pandering to urban communities. Racist. Me at a coffee shop. I'd like one coffee, please. Barista. Cream and sugar or black is fine. Democrat runs in. You're marginalizing an entire race of people when you order your coffee because you're a racist. Me, I'm thinking about whitening my teeth. Democrat runs in. Why is that? Because they look dirty and stained. So are you saying all minorities are a stain on all the planet Earth and can only correct it by making it whiter? Racist.
No, this sounds like this is satire, but they literally
they do.
think this way.
Yeah.
It's like that woman in line who he was like, listen, you got too many items in your line, go back. And she's like, he told me to go back. No, you had too many things in the line and he said go back.
Me, I was thinking about watching a classic black and white movie this weekend. Democrat runs in. So you think the segregation of whites and blacks is entertaining? You think that's where America should be, separated by color and separate bathrooms? Racist. Me, I can't sleep unless I have white noise in the background. Democrat runs in. So you can't sleep until the voices of all minorities have been silenced and overpowered by that of whites? Racist. Democrats, watching you like and retweet this thread. You think it's funny to talk about us calling you racist like it's some sort of joke? Guess what? You're a racist too. So everybody's like, somebody says, let's just declare every human being on the planet racist and call it a day and move along.
And that's, yeah, exactly. Every single person is a racist because you can't just say if you're a black person, you're not racist because they call Candace Owen a racist. They call the Blacks for Trump racists.
Right.
Okay. Everybody is a racist. It doesn't matter what your race is. You just know you now qualify as a racist. Whether you think you are, whether you have those feelings, it doesn't matter. Done.
So, Donald Trump, we talked to some of the protesters last night, and they literally are Democratic talking points.
They're learners. They're not thinkers. They can learn talking points really well, but they can't think for themselves.
Yeah. So Donald Trump says the kids in cages were built by Obama administration in 2014. He had the policy of child separation. I ended it even as I realized that more families would come to the border. And then he talked about the Democrat debate, and he says the people on the stage tonight and last were not those that will either make America great again or keep America great. Our country now is breaking records in almost every category, from stock market to military to unemployment. We have prosperity and success like never before. It will soon be time to choose to keep and build upon the prosperity and success or let it go. We are respected again around the world. Keep it that way. I will never let you down, and I haven't. We will only grow bigger and better and stronger together. And
keep in mind, we were told last night by these young people that just supporting Donald Trump makes you a racist, regardless of whether you actually have racist feelings, but because he's a racist, so they say, even though Al Sharpton and Jackson were friends of his for years and years and years, and he's always been doing things for the African American community. Forget that. He's a racist.
China, Iran, and other foreign countries are looking at the Democrat candidates and drooling over the small prospect that they could be dealing with them in the not-too-distant future. They would be able to rip off our beloved USA like never before. With President Trump, no way. So he says, and here we get into some rally stuff. Big rally at Cincinnati, Ohio. See you there. P.S. Our country's doing great. And then there was a lawsuit that was dismissed, the DNC lawsuit against the Trump campaign. I felt like it was stupid, so I don't really go into that. He's talking about China a lot here recently because we talked to these kids about the tariffs. They don't even know what the tariffs are about. You try to talk to them, and they just all they do is.
Well, the punchline is
you don't even know what you're talking about.
They think that we're going to die in 12 years.
Well, yeah.
And this is actually very serious. And I ended by saying this. You'll see it in the interview that we do. I said, listen, if you guys really do believe that we'll all be gone in 12 years, and they're like, we do, we know it. I said, then you should be here. You should be out here trying to warn people.
You got to one of the girls with that line, like, oh. So, like, they have
She's like, so you respect us? And I was like, listen, yes, if you think that we're going to be gone in 12 years and you're not out here, shame on you. Because that's a big deal. 12 years and all of the human race is just gone like that. And I said, I've had atheists say to me, listen, I don't believe in God, but if you believe that you have the answer to going to eternal life and paradise and you don't go and tell that to people, then I don't respect you. So whether you believe it or not, I don't believe in their climate change. We are still going to be here for 12 years and for much, much longer after that. Okay? But they believe it. And the fact that they're taking
that you have a wonderful
their beliefs and they're, trying to warn people, we're all going to be gone in 12 years. Then, the Y2K people did it too, trying to warn everybody. Right? Lots of end timers have been out there trying to warn everybody that we're in the last days. They've been doing that for the past 100 years.
So I'm trying to find that video. Sorry, I thought I'm going to. So that was a really good face, by the way. Did you see that one?
Yes, it was good.
So Michelle made a really good point with these guys, but I do want to give you. I'm going to put this whole thing together.
Maybe you could turn down your bass volume.
Yeah, I'm going to put this whole thing together for you guys. And I put it all the way up, but I haven't had a chance yet. But I want to give them an overview of what it was like to talk to them.
Okay.
Because the Yang Gang one is great. Just watch the whole thing. 3 or 4 very intelligent young men.
3 of them, I think.
Who there was an extra one guy in the background who didn't want to be interviewed.
Okay.
They supported Yang. So there's a total difference. Like the Yang Gangers and the Tulsi supporters are my friends. Because on a lot of things, I agree with them.
Right.
We can agree that the planet is being polluted, but they're not neurotic. They're not throwing their hands up in the air.
Yeah.
And it's a tale of 3 different media narratives. Okay, so this huge swath, which is why I believe that Trump is going to be elected,
of course,
is the narrative of pro-life, strong borders, strong economy, and you guys know but you get it.
Yeah.
We're homesteaders, so we like to, we want you to.
We don't focus on the economy so much.
But it is there's a fact. When Trump got elected, that stock market has gone up. Every it jumped. It hit record highs. It's absolutely crazy because a businessman got into office and people had confidence in him. Yeah. So there was consumer confidence, buyer confidence, banker confidence that Trump knew what he was doing and he was going to take this ship where it needed to go. Right. And so you have that big swath of narrative, and you find that through alternative media and Fox News. Okay. This is a piece of
this is like
I went through the woods.
Okay.
So anyways, then you have the other half is divided in 2. Starkly divided in 2. And then they kind of mesh. But really, I'm going to show you. Half of the Democrats despise Tulsi Gabbard, call her a Putin, Assad, crazy woman.
Right.
But then you have half of them who respect her. And maybe I'm not going to go to all the way half. But I'm going to go, I don't know, a quarter,
I've been seeing even on our own comments, not just in the live chat, but on videos prior, I have a lot of Trump supporters that say, listen, I really respect Tulsi.
Yeah.
And people that want to switch and vote in the Democrat primaries.
What's so amazing about Tulsi Gabbard is she can insult Trump and she can put forth Medicare for all and all these different things. But like as a person, as a human being, those are her convictions and those are her beliefs.
Yeah.
And she goes with it, but then she doesn't get stuck with, these are my Democrat friends, I'm going to spout off what they say.
Yeah.
And there was tale of two kids. So we have the Yang Gangers. It was very pleasant to talk to, and you could have a conversation with them, and they wanted to agree with you. They wanted to find common ground.
And that's the difference. We kept trying to find common ground with the first young people that we were talking to, and they didn't want to find common ground. I want to be nice to you.
Well, I don't want to be nice to you.
Right.
And you know what I mean? But with the Yang Gang and the Tulsi, I want to be nice to you. Well, I want to be nice to you.
Right.
But we can respectfully disagree on certain issues.
Yeah.
You know, it was absolutely crazy. So here we go. I'm going to play a little bit.
You might have to skip around to find it.
I will.
So, question. That you have a left sign, love Trump's hate, and I agree with that 100%. Do you know, I've interviewed many people here today, and not a one of them is a racist. What would you say to that?
I think that's false.
So, we could have stopped it right there.
Right.
He thinks that false. He doesn't want to engage. These children don't want to engage with you.
Right.
They don't want to say, they say, they have a set belief about somebody. And this is what is called bigotry.
Right.
Bigotry is when you look at a group of people and you have a set belief about them.
And you don't want to engage with them. You don't want to ask them questions about themselves. You have a preconceived idea of who and what they are and what they believe, and you are going to say that you believe this, they believe this, regardless of whether they come back and say, no, I don't believe that.
And these are the same kids that would say that it's wrong to tell a 3-year-old what gender they are.
Right.
And that's the absolute craziness.
Because only
I
that
can't
3-year-old can
identify
know.
as not being a racist.
Right. You just are.
But I could identify as a different gender.
Right.
Scientifically, that's impossible.
Right.
But nobody knows the heart of man. You have to trust people when they say something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to trust people. Here's the thing. I believe that Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are communists because they haven't come out and say, I despise communism.
Yeah.
I hate communism.
Exactly.
I don't like Karl Marx.
Right.
But we come out and we say, I despise racism. Yeah. I hate racism. I don't look at people based on the color of the skin,
yes,
but the
you
content
do.
of
That's
their
what
actions.
they say. They say, yes, you do, whether you know it or not.
But my point is the reason I can call out AOC as a communist because she doesn't
deny.
She doesn't deny it.
She doesn't disavow it.
You know?
Oh, people can't identify as not being a racist? Oh.
A lady walked by saying Obama wasn't born in America. That's racism to me.
That's not actually racist.
So he says, that's racism to me. So now we have a dictionary. And it's totally different. So when everything is racist, then nothing is racist. When everything is a commie, everything's nothing's communism, but they are really communist. When everything's a Nazi, nothing's a Nazi.
Right.
Okay. I'm gonna move on a little bit here. I think this poor child right here, I feel sorry for him. She, I think, has a heart. This guy right here is just ready to blow at any second.
Well, that's how you identify, right? But
there are people that are holding up signs that says Obama hang in there that had a hangman thing and a noose.
Here.
Not here.
Right. So, but we're going to come here and we're going to protest all of you people and say that you did that.
So he says that he saw a sign with people holding up with Obama hanging in there with the noose.
Right.
And so
when I would guarantee you that everybody there would condemn that.
Exactly. And so I said, here, you just called everybody a racist based on the fact that somebody somewhere that you saw. Yeah. That's what we call bigotry. That's
but
bigotry.
They don't understand.
They are bigots.
But it's sad.
It is sad.
It's really sad because they think that they are righteous in their cause.
Right.
They think that they are doing the right thing.
So if one Democrat held up a sign, orange man bad, am I going to say all Democrats? And that's the difference between Trump supporters and everybody else. I'm not a bigot. So I'm not going to label all Trump, all Hillary supporters or all Democrats based on the actions of one Democrat.
Like Kathy Griffith, who held up a severed head of Donald Trump. Okay.
That would have been really good.
Should we now group every Democrat in that group that would have done something like that.
So if you're watching, that is my question I pose to you. Should all Democrats who support Hillary Clinton be grouped in as Trump head severing people?
Right. So you can
But
move on
we're
from that
talking
one,
about
even
here, and these people.
Can we have a conversation?
Well, on behalf of them,
which is a lie, which is there to defend.
But I'm telling you, I want you to know that these people are kind and loving, and that's all I'm saying.
Wait, guys. Can we finish our conversation?
So this one right here, she was the one who called me a racist for wearing the Trump hat. Definitely.
These people are very kind and loving, and I think that if you were to talk to them like this young man,
if they were kind, they would care about our future because of climate change.
I think if you look at the
I care about your future.
guys.
I care about your future.
I think a reason why
I want to get to what he's going to say here in a second, because he says if you were kind, you would care about our future, and this is the crux of the matter. Like, if there's one thing that I caught on this entire video, it's this exchange, and he's really bossy. The guy in the front, totally really bossy. His other friends want to say something, but maybe he knows that they're going to sound silly or something. Different angle. Look at that. Did you know you could do that?
I did not know you could.
Tell us how it's done. Exactly what he said.
We're talking about Ilhan Omar and the Go Back thing.
that's racism to me.
But it's racism to say that she should, as a congresswoman, prove by saying, "Listen, you came from another place."
Herself by fixing it here.
Let's see.
And
We're gonna upload all of these so you guys can watch them.
I know. I want to get to where the young man says we're all gonna die in 12 years.
That's not true.
No, it's absolutely that you find will not say that. I came over here to just tell you guys that the people who I've been interviewing today are very kind and very loving.
That's not what we saw.
Okay.
That's not what we saw. Then he wasn't in the group. If he just gone in as a normal person and just talked to the people instead of getting in their faces. Hey, how are people supposed to be nice to you when you're literally telling them they're racist, they're xenophobe, they don't care about your future? Yeah. You come in angry at them already.
Right.
And what do you expect? You want to fight. And Michelle and I were like, I don't want to fight you. I care about you. I care about your future. I care about what the public schools did to your mind.
I'm very sorry, but
we were just standing here.
Okay, so
and then she says she just got kicked out for cage Trump. So you can say she
can't say hang Obama, which you should not. But to them they can say to cage Trump
with a hammer and a sickle. I didn't ask her about the hammer and sickle, where is the part where I look at the camera because here he comes.
Did you know? Okay, so climate change. The climate is changing, but did y'all know that?
Okay, where is he?
Agreement. Wait. Let me tell him something. Did you know? Okay, so climate change. The climate is changing, but did y'all know that both poles, both Arctic and Antarctic poles, were once subtropic, and within the ground there are tropical plants? And did you know that our planet has been warming ever since the last ice age? We are standing in Ohio. Children, learn something. Did you know that we...
So I don't know where the part is. I'm going to have to go find it. And this guy over here I want to find this part where he just says we're all going to die. It's really sad.
I think it's beyond that, actually.
Really? After the climate change thing? We're all going to die in 12 years?
Okay.
And this is great.
There you go. That was probably right there.
Glaciers during the last ice age?
Could we look at Europe for a second? Wait, I want to bring up a reason. Okay.
And this is great video, you guys. Thank you.
No, I think there was more. But anyways, I guess I'll try to find it because this poor child right here was almost in tears because there was a couple of them that said, we're going to die. Like
we won't be here in 12 years. And we wanted to make sure that we were confirming. We even gave them the opportunity. Guys, do you really think that we won't be here in 12 years? And they're like, yeah, it's a fact.
Yeah,
we will not be here in 12 years.
And
the rest of that interview was really fantastic because we kind of got to talk to the one young man about the Industrial Revolution. And he's like hating on it because somehow the planet's been warming so much more since then. But when we talk about how awful the Industrial Revolution was and how he doesn't want to get rid of any of his stuff,
his iPhone or anything.
He'd rather live the next 12 years with all of his stuff than get rid of them, rid of the things. And so it was very fascinating, and I can't wait to upload that. And I want you guys to watch those videos and share them. And there was another concerned guy last night that was afraid that we were doing this just for views. No,
we're not.
We're doing it to expose the lies that these kids have been brainwashed into believing, because we texted this to some of our friends and they were like shocked, like, I must be living under a rock. Like, I didn't even know that these kinds of kids exist. And we're like, they do exist. This is what our public school system is doing. This is what Google is doing. They literally open up Google and they believe that if it's a mainstream media article or if Google puts it out, it's true. If the news says it, it's true. That's why I said they are excellent learners. But like David Barton says, we used to teach the art of debate, where kids had to know the arguments for both sides and be able to argue them. This was part of education. This is part of public school education. And that way you could be a thinker and decide what side you wanted to fall on, because I could argue their arguments, okay, and probably beat myself with their arguments. I could do it, but they couldn't argue our arguments because they don't know them. They haven't done any research. They aren't independent thinkers. They just spew out everything they've been taught and heard.
All right, so here's Trump.
They also think that doing research is going to Google and finding out what Google wants them to believe. That's not research.
So it was a really calm event. People were just really laid back. They were really happy to be there. I'm going to tell you why they were so happy to be there, because, well, the same theme we kept getting from everybody else is that everybody had their Trump signs, everybody had their Trump hats, everybody had their Trump t-shirts. We had people dressed up in like tutus. We had everybody, excited to be there to see the president, and they could be themselves. Mm-hmm. And one video, which we'll play here towards the end, where they talk about coming out of the closet towards the end of the video.
Right, as a Trump supporter.
As a Trump supporter and as a conservative.
But when we told that to the protester young people, we said, listen, there were other kids that were close to your age that said that they are afraid to wear their Trump hats in public. They're afraid for their friends to know that they support Trump. And they said, well, they should be. Yeah. They should be afraid. They should be embarrassed. They should be ashamed. And I'm like, I thought you guys were the inclusive ones. Well, we're not inclusive with racists, and that's the only,
It's a cult. It's a religion.
It's exactly.
So if I were a teenager and I would say, they're afraid, say somebody's afraid to walk around as a gay person or walk around as a hoochie mama or as a, as a prostitute, you might get a different response from the Christians. Well, maybe you should be ashamed to be a bank robber. And that's the way they're talking about it. Maybe you should be ashamed to be a thief.
Right.
Maybe you should be ashamed not to, walk around as a pimp or,
speaking of being a pimp, when I told them that Stormy Daniels had come out and said that she lied, first of all, they called me a liar and said it wasn't true, which it is. And I'll post that link for you guys to read for yourselves and to share. But I find it hilarious that they are upset that Trump, even if he did ever sleep with a hooker, I'm like, where is your moral high ground? Where's your moral standing? Because without religion, there is no morality. When you have evolution as your basis of understanding, because they kept quoting science, and I know that they're little evolutionists because that's what the public school teaches. When that is your science, there is no morality. There is no right or wrong. Okay, it's whatever the majority thinks is right or wrong. And so the fact that they would come out and say that it's wrong for Trump to have slept with a hooker, even though Stormy Daniels came out and said that she lied about the whole thing, it's very interesting.
Exactly. So here we have ASAP is Rocky is being released from prison and on his way home to the United States from Sweden. It was a rocky week. Get home ASAP.
Oh, that's cute. I like that. Good.
That's Donald Trump. So he's claiming responsibility for that. So this is a big one because John Ratcliffe was going to head up the National Intelligence, and he decided, no, I'm not going to undergo that. He says, our great Republican Congressman John Ratcliffe is being treated very unfairly by the mainstream media. Rather than going through months of slander and libel, I explained to John how miserable it would be for him and his family to deal with these people. John has therefore decided to stay in Congress, where he has done such an outstanding job representing the people of Texas and our country, and I will be announcing my nomination for National Intelligence Director shortly. And I just can't believe, I know why it's happening, but it's wrong. Less than a week after Dan Coats stepped down and President Trump nominated John Ratcliffe as Director of National Intelligence, the Texas representative has, according to a tweet by the president, withdrawn his nomination from his position. And it's scrutiny, and you just don't want to have to go through this. And yeah, so he says, while I am and will remain very grateful to the president for his intention to nominate me as Director of National Intelligence, I'm withdrawing from consideration. So, bullied him out of that, just like they couldn't handle Flynn. Okay, so if you didn't see the Democrat debates, there was one moment that exploded on Twitter, and all you have to do is Google, hopefully, let's see if it picks it up, Tulsi Harris. Let's see what happens. The Kamala Harris destroyed Twitter controversy explained. How you know Tulsi Gabbard really got under Kamala Harris's skin. Tulsi Gabbard accuses MSNBC host of talking points from Kamala Harris, which is actually true. Tulsi Gabbard on Twitter. Senator Harris claims to be for the people. Her record as Attorney General is very different. So you are going to see it. She's really close. If you are leaning Democrat, go ahead and give her $1 or something. I want to see her on the debate stage.
I do too.
She's so good. She's so awesome. And
now, isn't it Bezos that had donated to Tulsi Gabbard? No.
The head of Twitter.
Jack. Okay.
He's
Jack
a very
Dorsey.
reasonable man. Jack Dorsey gave as much as he could to Tulsi Gabbard.
Okay, thank you.
Bezos is a
that's what I thought. I was really confused about that, actually.
Your own thoughts. So on Wednesday, anti-war renegade Democrat Representative Tulsi Gabbard blasted Senator Kamala Harris over her controversial record as California Attorney General. It was brutal. It was fun to watch live.
Is that the whole thing, though? Was it just 2 minutes?
Yeah, I don't think you get to talk very long.
Okay, that's fine. It was really great. Does it go big?
Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence.
That's true, by the way.
She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place. Impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to.
Tulsi Gabbard is literally actively in our military, and she literally is saying about Tulsi Gabbard that she's just giving speeches on the floor, but she's literally a National Guard member right now, putting her life on the line for you.
Form a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about re-entering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response, ma'am?
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Senator Harris.
Wow. Love Tulsi. She is so, so fantastic.
Kamala Harris looks like she was about to cry.
Yeah, she did.
Watch the hard swallowing, looking down, subconscious shame, face wincing, verbal blows were landing. Now the Harris campaign latched out at Tulsi Gabbard following the debate and suggested she is a Russian operative.
Oh my gosh, because when you don't know what to do with somebody that's right, you call them a Russian operative. That's just what you do.
Said Russian propaganda machine. Reporters writing their stories with eyes on the modern day assignment desk of Twitter. Read this. The Russian propaganda machine that tried to influence the 2016 election is now promoting the presidential aspirations of a controversial Hawaii Democrat. Now, obviously, I love that. Senator Harris is not, Kamala Harris is not controversial. Now, the empire is coming for Tulsi. The second debate among Democrat hopefuls was notable for two things: the lack of common decency of most of them, and Tulsi Gabbard's immense career-ending attack on Kamala Harris. That's what they're saying. Harris came out of the first. Now, it's not career-ending for Tulsi because guess what? Her numbers and her is skyrocketed.
Well, and
she's almost there.
Here's the good news: they can't. The last debate, not just this week, but the first debate, I guess I should call it. Afterwards, Tulsi's numbers went through the roof, and everybody tried to Google her, and so they bought more ads. Her campaign did, and Google suppressed it in that crucial time period, and so. Tulsi went to sue Google for like $53 million.
$50 million.
And so now, of course, they can't do that again to her.
Right, exactly.
And so after the debates, she got everything that she deserved, I think.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. This is one of the best moments since Donald Trump says...
I agree with David, though. She looked great in that white outfit.
Oh, yeah, she looks fantastic. Gabbard's takedown of Harris was so spot on, and her closing statement about irresponsible nature of Trump administration's foreign policy, which I am just going to read this, I don't agree with that, was so powerful that she has had to be actively suppressed on Twitter. And within minutes of the debate ending, the media and the political machines moved into overdrive to smear her as a Russian agent, an Assad apologist, and a favorite of the alt-right. Now, this person says, let me tell you something. I write and talk about Gabbard a lot, and those to the right of me are really skeptical of her being some kind of plant for Israel or the establishment. If she were truly one of those, she wouldn't have been polling at 1% going into the debate. She would have been promoted as Harris's strongest competition and served up for Harris to co-opt. That is not what happened. No, the fact that Gabbard is being smeared as viciously and baselessly as she is by all the right people on both the left and the right is, and I don't see the people on the right. The people on the right are not smearing her, which is absolutely hilarious. Donald Trump Jr. is tweeting her. Everybody loves loves Tulsi. Real Donald Trump. Donald Trump loves her. She's a real deal, and they're scared about her. When Lindsey Graham tweets about Tulsi Gabbard twice after the debate, Washington, I guess, so that maybe Lindsey Graham did. I didn't see a Washington Post neocons attacking her. But they are the neocons who wanted war in Syria, and the rest of us are backing off, and we represent the majority when we join hands with the anti-war ganger Tulsi Gabbard people. Then we're the majority.
You know, I know that you say that I'm wrong about this, and that's okay. I guess maybe I am being a little bit, biased in this, but I do believe that if the mainstream media got behind Tulsi and the left got behind Tulsi and she was the one squaring off with Trump in that final debate, the final sets of debates, it would really cause even some Republicans to scratch their heads about Trump. Just because she is such a powerful speaker. She is the only person
who could pull
on this
people on the
stage
right.
that could pull people from the right. She is the only one. And so do I think that Trump would lose to Tulsi? No. But do I think that Tulsi would come closer than anybody else that's out there? Yes. And so the fact that the mainstream media and the left are shooting themselves in the foot by trying to suppress Tulsi just goes to show that their hunger for power, and not just power, but their tunnel vision hunger for power of I can't allow truth in. I have to have a puppet. I have to have somebody that I can control, which is what they say. They know that they can control Sanders. They know they can control Harris. They know they can control every single seemingly, whatever candidate that people kind of like on the stage. They know they can control them like puppets. They know they can't control Yang, and they know they can't control Tulsi. They're the only ones up there that are not robots. The only actual contenders. I mean, Yang's not really a contender, but whatever. We all like to hear from him anyway.
Okay, so we ran into the Yang gangers, centrist, leftists. They were it was totally stark difference for them.
And you know they look happy.
They do look happy, don't they?
The other kids look miserable.
Miserable.
There was a darkness behind their eyes.
I wanted to say they're like emo kids.
It's
like
sad,
they're gonna
actually.
they cut and stuff and just like do horrible things to themselves because they're just so upset and miserable. Like you said, I want them to know Jesus. But let me play a little bit if I can find. I don't know if I can find the right snippets because this was a really good interview. But we talked about a lot with them. We agree on censorship. We agree with a lot. And this one right here, who's supporting Yang, said he voted for Trump in 2016.
Yeah, it's
because he couldn't vote for Hillary. But and he didn't name names, but he said if some of these people on the left get nominated, I'm going to have to vote for Trump again.
And that's the way that it is with almost every moderate Democrat that you will talk to.
I wouldn't even call them moderates. I don't know what these
real
millennials
people?
are different.
Real people with like a soul inside.
That you can't put a label on them.
Yeah.
These millennials who are just, they are thinking.
Yeah.
And they're looking at things.
Right.
And so half of them fall on the conservative side, and half of them are thinking, well, maybe we should have universal health care.
Yeah.
Maybe
Let me address one of these comments, not to get off subject, but we're still talking about Tulsi. Ketra LB says, Tulsi is still a pro-abortionist. That's a no-go for me. Now, of course, we're not saying vote for Tulsi, all right? What I'm saying is Tulsi is the type of candidate that could say, listen,
as a human being,
I believe that a woman's choice precedes that of saving the life of an infant. But I understand that those that are pro-life feel very passionately that they need to save lives, and I respect that, but I have to be pro-choice because I think that it's more important to save the life of somebody that is already alive, that has already been living, and their choice. It's their body. See, I could really. This is the debating thing. I could win a pro-abortion debate because I understand both sides. Tulsi does too. Tulsi understands both sides. Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Gillibrand, every single one of them would never come out and say, listen, but I do understand the heart of people that are pro-choice. So pro-life. So when I say about Tulsi, she's a real person that can say, listen, these are my opponents. We don't agree here, but I can understand where they're coming from. The rest of the candidates can't do that. No, you would never vote for Tulsi to be president because she is pro-choice, but I'm saying she's a real person where these other people are just puppets.
I think he's a human being. Why Yang and not Tulsi?
I'm a big Tulsi guy too. Ultimately, for me, UBI, I don't know. I'm not super big on that. I honestly don't think if he won that it would even actually come to policy.
Universal base
I just
income.
trust him as.
He wants to give everybody $1,000 a month. How that works out with everybody getting $1,000 a month, I don't understand how where it comes from, but it's called modern monetary theory. Look it up.
You can just make up money out of thin air like that.
Person, and I think
that. And if that happened, by the way, immediately everything would go up.
All
so
prices.
You had all the same stuff for what you had before.
Yeah.
He has good intentions for the country, and I don't know. I think him and Tulsi both, though. I like Tulsi a lot too.
Okay, so let me just tell you, I love Tulsi. On my Twitter, you can see that I've been supporting Tulsi for the past 2 years. I love her. But you know why I love her? Because she love trumps hate with her. She will cross, right now she is co-sponsoring a bill with my favorite Congressman, Thomas Massey, to audit the Fed. And she has been behind this whole, and the Russian conspiracy. They say she's an Assad apologist. She is not. She's just sane. Okay? She's just saying. So
I want you to see a dynamic here. We found common ground right away. And you can know that somebody is engaging in you and they want to, he's nodding his head in agreement.
Right.
And
or
that
even
is
I understand what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. And so when you're having a conversation with somebody, this is what we want. And this is how the left and the right can come together because we're all human beings.
Yeah.
We don't want to be at each other's throats, right? we can go at, if we're going to go at each other on issues, let it be like I've said before, the Bengals going after the Steelers.
Yeah.
There are really evil people who want to control us, okay? Who want to manipulate us. Let's have the free reign of ideas be out there. I'm going to play that, and I think I'm going to go...
you had a long talk with them.
I did. I want to see if I can
20
find...
minutes.
It was a long talk. If we can talk about... It was towards the end we talked about the Google censorship, but... Let's see what else we got here.
Churches, 80% I think in America, but like 90 worldwide. I think that we need to do something. Maybe...
Let's see, Google...
Corruption, the deep state.
Social media censorship.
And then about 2/3 of my videos were demonetized because all of a sudden everything is now off limits. You can't talk about anything. And then shadow banning. We've been kicked off of YouTube several times, begin back on because it's wrong. We've been kicked off of Facebook, and there's a huge censorship in which a lot of maybe our message doesn't get to get out anymore because of that. And Tulsi Gabbard, did you guys know that she's suing Google for $50 million?
That's pretty good. You know, there is too much social media censorship. And the problem is, you know, they have too much power because there's no real competition for them, so they can just go and do whatever they want. And a lot of times they censor people that they disagree with. Like InfoWars, for example. I disagree with InfoWars. I hate InfoWars. But they should be able to have that platform to speak, you know, on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook.
Did you hear? So this is absolutely golden. That snippet right there. I need to just put that on there. I need to let it. I have lots of ideas for these two interviews. We'll see how it goes.
I think what you should do is share several little snippets like that. Like you could tag InfoWars in this one. You could tag Tulsi Gabbard in another one. You could tag on Twitter and just really just utilize this.
Yeah. So, anyways, what he said there. These are the people that I want you to be able to say what I can disagree with you. And he even says, I watch InfoWars. He disagrees with it, but I said, you might find that you agree with some of it. And he said, I do actually watch it. But love it. It's just, I just enjoyed this conversation. That's why it went on for 24 minutes.
Okay, so you might want to just save it for the rest for them when we upload it. Okay. And like I said, we're going to be working really hard. I say we, but I usually do a lot of the video editing, but I'm kind of burnt out. Patriot Gallery's been doing a ton of it. I think Leah's got it in her. I actually could edit that video, but the young people that we talk to, like, it hurts me to listen to it. Like, physically, like, I can't. It's very hard for me.
Because, as Ted Cruz says, Ted Cruz recently bashed universities in a Thursday speech saying that America's colleges are raising a generation of pansies and doing a disservice to students by shielding them from scary ideas. Wow. Cruz let loose on academia at the Young America Foundation's National Conservative Student Conference, telling the crowd, if you are a university administrator, the ideas that are represented in this room are terrifying. There are no safe spaces in this room. During the question and answer session, one Binghamton University student shared with Cruz his experience of having to employ trigger warnings during college debate competitions, as well as everyone having to share their preferred gender pronouns before a competition gender minority female-only debate tournaments. No. We're all going to die, he says jokingly.
Wow.
I don't know if that's 30 minutes. We can't watch all that. Cruz argued that when he was in university, he had to hear plenty of scary ideas, including those of Marxism. He goes, I took classes from Marxists, and by the way, I don't find Marxism just some sort of cute and chic idea. Cruz noting that someone on his hall had a Che Guevara poster, and that Cruz sarcastically recommended posters of other evil, torturing, murderous, blank, 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 including Mao Zedong, Adolf Hitler, and Joseph Stalin. I would deliberately sign up to take classes from Marxists. Now my family has been tortured by communists in Cuba. It's personal to me, but you know what? Truth is not afraid of lies. The light is not afraid of darkness.
So talking about these young people and their, and he just said they're being raised to be pansies. Another heartbreaking thing that's going to come out in this video is that when we were actually we were trying to find common ground with this first set of kids, and we were talking about what they could do to actually save the planet and to, you know, be good to the planet. And the kid was like, yeah, he's like, I do. I recycle and I try to eat vegetarian as much as I can. I have a really hard time because I really love a hamburger, but like I really try to eat vegetarian. And I didn't address that because that was too much for me. Like I can't go into all that would need to be said. It's heartbreaking because Our bodies
Need
literally
meat and
need
protein.
protein. And the fact that these kids are being taught that by eating
They're
vegetarian
craving meat, but
they're
that
saving
it's
the
bad.
planet.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if you want to talk about not driving cars to save the planet, I'm with you all day long. But by not eating meat, there is literally nothing you are doing about saving the planet. And as a matter of fact, in order to have a symbiotic being, or excuse me, what's the right word I'm looking for? The way that everything works together harmoniously is that you have animals that put that you raise on your farm that put fertilizer back into the soil, and then it grows good food. When you take the animal aspect out of that, then you have to use chemical fertilizers that make you sick and harm the planet and strip the soil of all of their good nutrients and things like that. And so when you take animals and eating them out of that equation, okay, where we finish off at in that argument, and again, I couldn't go into this with this kid because I don't want to be the cause of anybody committing suicide. So if you're watching this, please don't do this. But the end of that argument is humans should just die.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't be there. We're harming the planet so badly that not only should we not eat the animals, but we should remove ourselves from the equation and just let nature be harmonious. The fact that a cheetah in the wild will hunt and kill an animal because it needs protein, and yet we as humans need protein, and so we do it here as best we possibly can, and allow and utilize and kind of like the Native Americans, honor the animal for their sacrifice and love God for creating this amazing system. Instead of doing that, they just, it's like the butterfly effect. They don't understand that when they become a vegetarian, it affects everything.
So what I would tell them though is they're not wrong about CAFOs in the factory farms.
Right.
So I would say, hey, if you what I would
we
if
did
you
say
want
this.
to, but no, what I would say this. If you want to help save the environment and you have extra money, okay, don't go to the movies. Spend it on pasture-raised food.
Right.
You can get what you need there, and you're going to actually help the environment.
Right.
Because pasture-raised food and meat actually helps the environment because you need the manure to go back into the ground. And so you'll notice that if you feed a chicken and the chicken poops, then things grow. Same thing with cows.
Right.
And that's why you see at old farm machinery get-togethers that almost what's pretty much left besides a tractor are the manure spreaders.
Yeah, exactly.
So
this was sad.
Mario Lopez went on the Candace Owens show, and he said, now I don't want to offend anybody, but 3-year-olds should not be able to change their gender. Well, he had to come back. He felt too much pressure, and he had to apologize. Now somebody else said, could we just get Mario Lopez to apologize for apologizing, because this is just hurting my head right now.
I know.
So I haven't watched this yet, but this is Waka Flocka, and he's a rapper.
Are we gonna get a strike for this?
I hope not. And he defended Mario Lopez. So this is just scoop. Okay, so this is, let me see if it actually shows.
Children say they could fly
Okay.
and jump off of a staircase, and thank God I caught him, right? Because he thought he could be Superman. And so I'm trying to understand this new Hollywood mentality where they just think that their children now have the mental authority and
I am trying
clarity.
to understand it myself, and please don't lump me into that whole.
No. I see you're not doing that in your household.
No, I mean I'm kind of blown away too, and look, I'm never one to tell anyone how to parent their kids, obviously, and I think if you come from
Maybe
a place,
you should though, because you seem to be doing something right.
Well, thanks. And I always say, if you come from a place of love, you really can't go wrong. But at the same time, my God, if you're 3 years old and you're saying you're feeling a certain way, or you think you're a boy or a girl, whatever the case may be, I just think it's dangerous as a parent to make that determination. Then, okay, well then you're going to be a boy or a girl, whatever the case may be, and it's sort of alarming. And my gosh, I just think about the repercussions later on.
So, Waka Flocka, and he said, darn, bro,
I'm a real one for this. I'm behind him
100%.
100%.
Yeah, so his comment got over 22,000 likes. It was mostly received positively. Some in the comments accused him of being a hater to the LGBT community. So there's no commentary on this. Hey, Matt Walsh said, my 3-year-old said, I'd like to go swim in the lake. I identify as a person who can just swim across the lake.
Right.
And he's like, no, you can't do that. And he's like, but I'm 3. And I know I can swim across the lake. Mm-hmm. No, you can't. I'm your parent.
Right.
And so Mario he walked around it, really tiptoed and said, if you're feeling a certain way, maybe don't make that determination right then.
Yeah.
And
because the repercussions could be, because
what if they're just wanting to play Barbies at 3 and they're a dude, or what if they just want to play with trucks, or what if they like sports and they're 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and you're a tomboy, and suddenly your teacher is saying, well, if you're a tomboy, maybe you're really a boy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And
I can't even imagine going through life. And I've said this before on the show, but it bears repeating because I lived it. When I was young, and I really wanted to have a nickname, and I couldn't think. I hated Shelly. That was just weird to me. And I couldn't think of a good nickname for Michelle, so I went with Mitch. And I kind of was a little bit of I had probably just still played Barbies not that long ago, maybe even currently still when I decided this. I was definitely, I kind of liked football with the boys. I wanted to support the Cowboys because
a lot of times little girls want to be like their big brothers.
What would have happened to me?
It scares me. I think about it all the time now. I'm not scared.
It doesn't scare me either because my mom would have called it out and it would have been fine.
But it scares me to think about it. I think about it all the time. Michelle went through this Mitch stage, and I know 100% that if you wanted to be called Mitch now, they would say, well, are you really
They would probably pull me into the office.
They would, as a teacher.
And they would invade my privacy, and I would be like, no. I mean, I had so many crushes in 6th grade at that time, it's not even funny.
But what does it have to do with, liking the other gender? You can still be gay, but be a boy.
Right.
So you're really messing with kids' heads, saying, you know, what... This is actually anti-LGBT.
Exactly. Right.
No, LGB.
Whatever it is.
Okay, it's actually anti-gay and lesbian.
Yeah.
Because you're literally telling gays and lesbians that if you like the same gender, then you need to switch genders. And isn't that the definition of bigotry?
Exactly. No, it is. It is.
Well, being a lesbian, if you like girls, then maybe you're a boy.
Yeah.
Isn't that like the whole... Haven't we gone around in the circle here?
And it is a difficult... You do have a difficult quandary. Because over and over again, we see this with the gender pronouns and all of that, where you end up kind of backed yourself into a corner.
Where you have to pick a pronoun. But now you can pick any pronoun like they or
on
them.
Facebook Live, Tanya says, this subject drives me literally crazy as a parent. My kid used to always say that she wanted to be a boy. I think many kids, especially tomboys, go through this. Kids should have nothing to do with the LGBTQYZ, XYZ community. I could not agree with you more.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can feel free to read more comments because I know a lot of people need to vent this. I'm going to talk about some kids who were the Kavanaugh kids. Their suit against the Washington Post was thrown out because they said it was more of an opinion post. And what standards do you have? Because the Washington Post said, gave a narrative about the not the Kavanaugh kids, the Covington, Kentucky kids. The Covington Catholic students.
Britt Pazza says, I'm a lesbian. I love women. He's not.
Yeah. So you have Nick Sandman, who will forever be known as the kid who stood face to face with the...
Wait, pause. So Anglo-Saxon says, I'm confused. Can a man be a lesbian? So I think in some sort of world you could be. I think that if you were if you are a man that becomes a transgender woman... and you are attracted to women, then technically you're allowed to call yourself a lesbian.
That's what that one guy did, the guy who was molesting all those girls.
Yeah. When you're just really a sick dude.
So their one suit was dropped. Go ahead.
Dermatalman says, I am gay and I agree. Thank you for that.
So somebody comes up to you and says, Dermatalman, you like men, so you must be a woman. Isn't that a definition of bigotry? Now you have to change your entire gender.
I know. I'm offended by that, and I'm not even gay. No, I'm a gay dude, and I like dudes. That doesn't make me a woman. I would be offended.
It's crazy. So attorneys Robert Barnes and Kevin Murphy filed suit for 8 Covington high school students against 12 top liberal elite figures, including Elizabeth Warren, CNN's Anna Navarro, and New York Times crank Maggie Haberman. Lawyers for 8 Covington Catholic students, John Doe's 1 through 8, filed a defamation lawsuit on Thursday in Covington Kentucky Kenton County Circuit Court against 12 individuals, lawmakers, journalists, and media figures. Attorneys Robert Barnes and Kevin Murphy began the suit going back to January 18th, 2019, when they say a field trip to our nation's capital for a group of minors for Covington, Kentucky turned into a social media nightmare that changed their futures forever. This was when he was MAGA hat wearing Nick Sandmann, came face to face with 65-year-old Native American man Nathan Phillips, who lied through his teeth and ruined these kids' lives.
And then the kids were doxxed, and every media outlet, mainstream media outlet, lied about the entire situation and was kind of supporting the, I don't know, hatred towards Nick Sandmann.
Right. So you guys know that the big thing on Trump being called a racist recently is the whole Baltimore thing with its rat infested. We played some videos of rat running across the thing. It's pretty awful. But it all started with Elijah Cummings. He went after Trump. He wants to impeach Trump. Okay?
Good luck with that.
And his home was literally broken into hours before Trump tweeted about his disgusting Baltimore district. A rental home of House Oversight Chairman Elijah Cummings was broken into on Saturday morning. According to Baltimore police, a report of a burglary at the home, So, of course, the left is already blaming Trump for the reported break-in, even though Trump didn't fire off his tweets attacking Cummings until after his home was broken into.
Interesting.
Trump's first tweet about Cummings was at 4:14 a.m., and Representative Elijah Cummings has been a brutal bully, shouting and screaming at the great men and women of the Border Patrol about conditions at the southern border, when actually his Baltimore district is far worse and far more dangerous. His district is considered the worst in the USA, and this is absolutely true. More murders, more rats. It's just falling apart. And a lot of that has to do with, and let's just be honest here, a lot of it has to do with Baltimore is a coastal city, and a lot of jobs left because they went to China. There's no more import-export things going on there, and a lot of the jobs went to China and other places. And that's how the economy just kind of the bottom fell through. And if you bring back jobs, then you might be able to make Baltimore better again. It's a dangerous, filthy place.
Now, so we had been watching an episode of Little House on the Prairie where the entire town almost gets typhus from fleas from rats. Specifically, these rats have these fleas, and the fleas bite people and they get typhus. Well, before this even happened, we had the first case of typhus. It was like a week before, 2 weeks before, in the United States, come back out of nowhere, and so I think that might have had a little bit of something to do with why rats were on, have been being talked about now, and the Baltimore rats have come back into Trump's mind, and who knows where he had heard it, but it's a fact. I think it was PBS or someone had done a documentary already about the rats, literally calling out the rats of Baltimore and how awful it is. Okay, this is a really dangerous thing. And so if Trump is calling it out, saying, listen, get your own city in order, get rats, literal rats that could bear typhus with their fleas, get them out of the city. Do that first before you go worrying about what's on the border.
Clean your own house first.
And basically, that's what he also said to Ilhan Omar.
Clean your own house first. Alrighty. So
did we talk about Comey yet?
We have not talked about Comey, but we're gonna bring this up because we're talking about transitions, and I just feel like if the more we talk about this, the more it gets it out there. Hopefully, people will begin to think it's crazy. It's not.
Hopefully,
child abuse is being an accepting and loving parent. In a Daily Mail article published this week, Ben and Sarah Kaplan of Berkeley, California, explained why they allow their 2 young children to transition at the ages of 8 and 4. The family is sharing its story in an attempt to break the taboo amongst trans children following studies that show a rash of suicides amongst trans children who weren't accepted by their families. There are 2 children, James, who transitioned from female to male. They obviously have something in their genes. And Olivia, who transitions from male to female, say that before the transition, they felt like they had a piece missing. But at the age of 8, James Kaplan, now 11, was born a biological girl, realized he had to transition from female to male. And just a few years later, then 4-year-old Olivia, now 7, who was born a biological boy, realized she wanted to transition from male to female.
Every young child wants to do what their older brother or sister has done. It goes that way.
The family are now sharing their story. Their parents were surprised when the then 8-year-old James, whose birth name wasn't published, and then they were even more surprised. But wearing a dress and having long hair does not make one a girl.
And why? That's the thing that really bothers me about this. They hate gender stereotypes, and yet they base all of this whole transition thing on gender stereotypes. I am a boy because I feel like I, like boy things, or I am a girl because I feel like I like girl things and I want to dress like a girl. And yet they would tell everybody, listen, don't conform to gender stereotypes.
Now listen, this is really key, okay? Whew. But just having been through the transition process, they knew how to handle the transition process as parents. Though one thing they didn't do, question their extremely young child might simply be copying what their oldest child was doing.
That's what I said.
Even their oldest child felt competitive when he learned that his younger sibling wanted to transition. However, like with most siblings, he admits there was the usual competitiveness. I reacted to Olivia transitioning like most older siblings would, even though I'm trans. I was a little confused at first and got a little defensive because I thought it was my thing. But after like a day of that, I saw Olivia is a girl and she always will be.
Wow.
For Olivia, having her big brother understand was key. He was my first supporter and it made me very confident that I would have many more. James, who's now 11, has begun taking hormone blockers to put off the onset of puberty and menstruation, which he said would be distressing. It would also prevent him from developing his chest. He's also waiting to start taking testosterone, which would be the first non-reversible step of his transition, though he's already legally changed his name to James. Their youngest child won't begin similarly irreversible steps to her transition for a few more years, but when the time comes, she will likely start with a hormone blocker. The parents also stated that they parent their kids. For those who think we just follow our children around doing nothing. The two parents insisted they're not imposing an agenda on their children. They're simply supporting their decisions who they truly want to be.
Wow.
Ben and Sarah want to educate those who accuse them of imposing an agenda. They say that they are on the right side of history.
So I have to be honest, and I'm just going to I think that this is a curse. I think that this is what happens to society when you remove God from it. Okay, the Bible says that there's literally nothing new under the sun. And it's heartbreaking to see, but I think that there's a reason why we see it more in these coastal cities, like in California, where they have really turned their back on God. And so when you do turn your back on God, God gives you over to a reprobate mind. And it affects your whole society. And the people that have perpetuated this and put it forth will be held accountable before God for damaging an entire, generation of children.
She says the reason that we chose to come public at this point is because having 2 transgender children is not that unique, and it's not. And so you have to wonder. Wow. No, you do wonder. Here's the thing. This is what is called child abuse. Mm-hmm. And I will call it out. And if I lose my show because I said that it's abusive to put hormone blockers in an 11-year-old.
Wow.
Then so be it. You won't ever see me again, and you can know it's because I said I called out child abuse. And that's the hill I die on.
Yeah.
And I will advocate for you. And I will say to these children, I'm going to advocate for you
because
how many
your parents
kids didn't.
This has been going on long enough that we are now hearing stories of kids that regret their gender transition and hormone blockers.
It is.
It's been going on that long. Mm-hmm. And so we actually have the facts. Mm-hmm. But these kids get silenced. Mm-hmm. Just like homosexuals that have come out of homosexuality, their voice gets silenced because they are then told that you don't know what you're talking about once you try to go back. You can't ever go back. This is a no going back. You are allowed to decide if you are a female as a child, you're not going to be a female anymore, you're going to be a male. But if you, and that's your decision. But if you ever decide to go back, then you're not thinking for yourself.
But here's the thing. You know that you have to be 18 to get a tattoo, right? Why can't you just say, I identify as a unicorn tattoo person, and I'm 11 years old. Right. Give me the unicorn tattoo.
Well, and what about piercings, too?
Well, you get your ears pierced.
No, I mean by yourself. Like, I think you have to be like 14 or 15 in order to get your ears pierced by yourself.
Nose rings? Why, ear? I mean, here's the thing. They literally can chop off a little kid's wee-wee. But, like, you gotta get, you gotta be 18 to get the, I don't know, maybe, I don't know what you do. Like, I don't know what the age is for the big giant gauges in the nose.
And
rings.
Tanya points out, she says, what is in the food and water? And I think that also has a lot to do with it.
I think in this
the
case,
fluoride
though, it's
in the water,
definitely
it's
a
societal.
big brother, little,
yeah.
And you watch the jazz thing and you begin to think to yourself, and I think about these kids and I'm just wondering, like, they just want attention. They want to be loved. And like the ones that this is my thing. And
they want to be
made you
unique.
special. And they're willing, and people aren't, she doesn't know, they don't know what it would mean to grow into their bodies. They don't know what they're missing out on because they've never had a sexual experience, right? They don't know what it means to not menstruate because you've never done it. You don't know what it means to not carry a child. And what if you are, and this is the most horrible thing, what if you're 20 and 30 years old and they destroyed you? They destroyed you, and all of a sudden you want to have kids, and you are breaking down in tears because I can't have kids now. The same thing with little boys. That jazz kid, they took his little thing off, and he didn't even get a chance to become who he might be.
Yeah.
And to make those choices.
Everybody knows that children do rash things that they don't understand the consequences of.
Listen.
That's why kids aren't allowed to do certain things. That's why children have parents.
You can't even go canoeing without a parental, sign off.
You can't go on a field trip.
They have to sign it at least to give you permission.
It's like, we all have been children and we all know how we were dumb. We were stupid. We were rash. We weren't thinking for ourselves because our brains had literally not developed.
You would never want a McDonald's Happy Meal unless you saw a commercial for it.
Right.
If you didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
I didn't even like McDonald's as a kid. Like my parents, I remember them getting me French fries and a hamburger from McDonald's. I'm like, ugh. I have real food. This isn't even real food. You know what I mean? They have to put the commercials out there with the toys and everything, and then you see it, and then you want it.
Right. Sanhar says, I remember a talk show years ago where a gay man decided to change to straight and have a wife and family, and the audience was horrible to him.
Oh, wow.
And that's the thing. It's so strange that you, again, I want to reiterate it. You're not thinking for yourself if you decide to go back or regret it.
Once you've made a decision to turn in one direction, you're never allowed to go back.
Yeah.
It's the point of no return.
Right. Or you're not, and you'll be accused of not being true to yourself, of not thinking for yourself.
But isn't that what it means isn't that what...
What if you identify as a gender that's allowed to be fluid and go back and forth and decide,
well, then that's okay. Then that's okay.
No, you know what I mean. Fluid. Like, you can't, why can't these people say, listen, I want to, I don't know. Anyway.
All right. So, pollster Frank Lutz on the Democratic debate, which we did watch most of it.
Anyway.
I've been following this since 1992. I've never heard candidates this extreme, this hostile to economic freedom.
You heard it. I laid it out in the two angles. The one thing Democrats made clear in the second round of debates is that there is a clear divide between the radicals and Joe Biden. Here now to break down the words and phrases that mattered is pollster Frank Lutz. Okay, Frank, I want to start with Biden. Now, he's being called the moderate one up there, but there was one radical suggestion. Watch.
I have the only plan that limits the ability of insurance companies to charge unreasonable prices, flat out, number one. Number two, we should put some of these insurance executives who totally oppose my plan in jail for the 9 billion opioids they sell out there.
Frank, what about that?
So well, first off, did you hear the audience reaction to it? And I was there in the hall for both debates. And I want to make it clear to the viewers that this is not a fight for the soul of the Democratic Party. That fight is over. And the hostility of these Democratic candidates, most of them, to corporate America, to CEOs, to those who've been successful, is significant. The language that I heard in the last 48 hours is language I've never heard from any mainstream Democrat. And every time you went anti-corporate, anti-CEO, anti-success, the audience just lit up with applause.
Now, I want to move on to night one and something said by Bernie Sanders and Warren that struck you. Let's watch.
Our biggest problem in Washington is corruption. It is giant corporations that have taken our government and that are holding it by the throat. And we need to have the courage to fight back against that.
If anybody here thinks that corporate America gives one damn about the average American worker, you're mistaken. Stand up and take on the greed and corruption of the ruling class of this country.
Frank, isn't that what Obama said he was going to do? I mean, standing up for the little guy. So can they replicate what Trump has already done?
This is so much more extreme. Holding the government by the throat, it's graphic, it's visual. And I say to every CEO who's watching right now and every corporate executive, they're after you. They're blaming you. They're holding you accountable. I attended the SEIU rally because I wanted to see what language they used. And what they kept on saying was, no peace, no justice. No peace, no justice.
That's original.
We're going to have labor unrest over the next year. We're going to have a continuing divide between corporate America and its people. This is significant. The tension in the workforce is going to be far greater. There's a lesson here that economic freedom is under direct attack.
Yeah.
And Laura, I don't mean to overstate it, but it is significant.
No, I could not agree more. And finally, that embattled NYC mayor, Bill de Blasio, Frank, he was ranting a lot last night, but this moment really stood out.
For 40 years, the rich have gotten richer, and they paid less and less in taxes. It cannot go on this way. When I'm president, we will even up the score, and we will tax the hell out of the wealthy to make this a fairer country. This has to be the party that's not afraid to say out loud, we're going to tax the hell out of the wealthy.
He said it twice just so you would understand. Why was that moment so important?
Because he said at the beginning, he said at the end, and the audience erupted in applause. That was his best moment among Democrats. That was his best moment of the debate.
So you have two different mindsets here, and I need to explain this to you. Under Yang, you have modern monetary theory where it tells you that the only reason there is a thing called taxation is to put up a facade that we're not just printing money out of the wazoo. We're $18 trillion in debt. You don't need the money of the wealthy to get things done. You just want them not to have it.
That's a really good point.
You just want them to be the bad guy. They don't, I think I saw, if you took all the money from all the wealthy people in America, you still couldn't pay for the Medicare for all. So it's not gonna, that's not gonna happen. And what they didn't do is go after why the costs are so high. Because guess what? Insurance companies are making a little chunk of change. But they're corporations and they're making some change. But their job is ultimately to pay
these exorbitant medical prices.
And that is the same thing that I was talking to about with these young men. I hope you watched the whole video. The Yang guys. I'm like, but the cost. Why aren't you going after doctors? Why aren't you going after the nurse's wage? Why aren't you going after,
and like you said last week, why aren't you going after the fact that the amount of doctors or wannabe doctors entering into medical school is limited? Because if we had more doctors entering the medical field, prices would go down through competition.
Exactly.
Why aren't we going after that? And it's just like what you said. It's this Lord of the Flies just kind of thing. What we see, it's the animal kingdom. What we see with our pigs is I could give one pig something to eat and I could give another pig something to eat. And the one pig would leave what he had, even though it's the same thing, and go over to this pig to grab it just because he didn't want that pig to have it. Okay? The chickens often do the same thing. It's animalistic behavior that we're seeing amongst the left.
They're not asking. See, the wealthy, these guys are really wealthy and they are powerful. And they know that by taxing the rich, people aren't going to have more things. It's not going to make their lives any better. Okay? They literally just hate rich people. But they're just like the Animal Farm where they hate other rich people, but they want to be rich and wealthy themselves. But they don't want you to be, because if you become rich and wealthy, then you don't need them, because you don't need them to go and get money from other people. And it's just this horrible cycle.
You know what would give people money in their pockets?
What's that?
Ending the Fed.
Yes.
Because if there was a gold-backed dollar, okay, or we just used gold and silver, but let's just say a gold-backed dollar. If there's a gold-backed dollar, your dollar is worth $1. Today, you hand somebody $1, it's only worth 4 cents of that dollar, 0.4% of that dollar. It's gone down since 1913. We're about to hit zero. But you hand them that $1, and it's literally within that second worth less in their hand than it was. It's like driving a car off of the parking lot. It's literally worth less in their hand. And so if you have dollars and you stuff them underneath your mattress, every day that they sit in your mattress, they are worth less than they were yesterday. So people that have wealth, even if it's very minor, let's say you got $10 worth of wealth, okay, it's deteriorating every single day thanks to the Fed, and no one on this stage but Tulsi Gabbard would be willing to talk about that.
Exactly.
Nobody wants people to be able to retain the wealth that they already have, because inflation is something that is inevitable instead of something that could be stopped.
Right.
Laura, this is not just about politics. This is not just about winning the Democratic nomination. This is about changing the structure of the economy in the United States, and they are determined to turn it upside down. And I got to tell you, I've been following this since 1992. I've never heard candidates this extreme. I've never heard candidates this hostile to economic freedom, and they've got the base of the Democratic Party absolutely behind them.
Yeah, I say freedom, period.
Absolutely.
They're anti-freedom on what kind of car you drive or whether you can fly somewhere. As long as they're able to fly to their stupid conferences, that's okay. But the rest of the little people, they're just going to have to go in, you know, those little green scooters or whatever. All right.
What I think is so great about this is that it's just the coastal elites that think this way. No sound-minded Democrat thinks this way. Now, we talked to the kids last night that do, but the kids younger than them do not. So I think that we have this conglomerate of sound-minded people. We have a little blip of millennials in there and the coastal elites, and then the kids that are coming up around. I think it's going to push out.
Well,
I think it's going to go away.
I guess I'll just bring this up. Generation Z here, XYZ. You guys need to watch this video. It needs way more views. All right, so after Ben, we get these people, and this is... Just listen.
In Cincinnati, Ohio, and we have some beautiful deplorables here who have agreed to be interviewed. So this is my sister, Leah. My name's Michelle. We have a channel, The Resistance Chicks. We have Steve, Ashley, Anne Marie.
Do you want to bring it up for them?
Anne Marie. Some of you guys want Hannah. Cody.
I think it's gonna be more fun for you guys to watch because I was there. So I think it would be more fun for you guys to watch it. Generation XYZ.
Okay, so just the clips, because there's the longer video you guys can watch, which is called More Deplorable Interviews, and it's longer. So I think Mom cut out.
Listen up. The soap you shower with?
There. Yeah, go to it.
Skip the ad. Wait, let me switch over so they can actually see it. Wait a minute.
I'm going to get my earphones.
Okay. Here we go.
No, they're in.
Okay, so you can also watch. Here's Jen, and I'm going to let you guys watch that later because I want to get to the young people. But we met Jen, and she called us out. She's like, "There's the Resistance
Jen
She
found us
let me
there.
Pause really quick.
She helped us get in because we had to run back, and she stayed out while everybody else
and her
was going
husband.
in.
They were both wonderful, amazing people.
I was just Jen, if you're watching, thank you so much for saving our seats. I was so happy to meet you. We have a new friend.
Yes, we definitely do. And I hope we hear from her because we didn't get her contact
I
information.
know.
All right, so not that you don't count, Jen. It's not that you don't count.
Your video's up.
Your video is up. I just meant for right now we want to focus on these young people.
Well, not that she's not young.
She is young.
But I wanted to hear what they had to say about the Democrats, but we can play the whole thing.
Okay,
and we can
play.
Yeah.
In Cincinnati, Ohio, and we have some beautiful deplorables here who have agreed to be interviewed. So this is my sister, Leah. My name's Michelle. We have a channel, The Resistance Chicks. We have Steve, Ashley, Anne Marie. Some of you guys want Hannah. Cody.
Chris.
All right, so out of all of the people that are here, we're seeing people from all ages. The misnomer is that it's all a bunch of old fogies that support Trump. And I want to know what you guys think about the millennials and what the opinion is amongst young people today.
I think millennials are definitely coming around, but it's funny that Generation Z is actually coming harder than the millennials. The younger kids get it because they have so much information and they can research everything. They don't need to listen to anybody. Yeah. They can go, they research, they understand everything. So the future's looking bright. Yeah. And we're just trying to help our generation understand them more. And I think when they get older, they will. So we're just kind of waiting. Yeah. And by the end of 6 years, they should definitely see that this works, and the other thing doesn't. And it's really common sense.
It's really common sense. I'm going to skip just ahead a little bit.
I think Trump has started something that's never actually going to end, because the thing is, he has forced the current leadership in the Democratic Party to show their true colors, which is just absolutely insane radicalism on so many issues. There's no moderate people anymore in the leadership of the Democratic Party. It's just like people that are insanely like they want abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. They want completely open, completely open borders. Like, they're not moderate at all. And Trump has completely made it so that America can see their true colors, and that movement is never, I think, gonna end. Even if they do get elected, I think it's
so. But surely all of you are racist. No. But Joe Scarborough on MSNBC and all of his panels say that if you support Trump, then surely you are a racist. What do you say to that?
I said that's just not true.
It's the only argument they have. And it's fake, but like, they can't actually have a logical argument against Trump because everything's working.
I mean, how do you prove you're not racist? I mean, I have a lot of friends that are of every single nationality, Black, Mexican, Middle East. I've been around the world. I love all people, and I'm not racist in any drop of my soul. I don't think none of my friends are either. I don't know.
What makes you guys support Trump?
He's pro-life, and I'm pro-life, and you pretty much have to vote for Trump if you're pro-life, because I don't believe in murdering already born babies.
Yeah, there you go.
What about you? What drew you to Trump?
Supporting capitalism. Okay. Also, he has big hands. I really like that. You know,
they're fun. They're happy. They're jovial. They can joke around.
All right, so cannot do it. When you go out amongst people of your age, do you find it okay to wear your MAGA hat? Are you embarrassed? Are you emboldened?
Only around.
I'm in the closet, but I guess now I'm not in the closet. But I'm afraid what my liberal friends would think of me. I mean, if they're true friends, they'll stay my friend, but I wouldn't even want to ask that question. So I don't tell anybody except this small group of people. We can all be Republicans together, and that's it.
Okay, but I thought that the left was completely inclusive, and so no matter what you thought or whatever your belief was, they had to include you, no?
No, I don't feel that way at all. Like, I know people who say, if you're a Republican, delete me as a friend and don't talk to me again, and don't even care about how we're friends. It doesn't matter now. It's so polarized. It just drives me nuts, because I have so many liberal friends that would probably die if they knew that I was conservative and never talk to me again.
So that's a good question. That begs the question, what do we do to combat that narrative? That narrative that you're not a racist and you're not a racist, and you don't believe that Trump's a racist. How do you get that message out, especially with all the censorship?
I think it's impossible with the media, because they believe everything the media says. So there's nothing we can really do until people start to believe it's fake news. We can try as hard as we want, but to be honest, like I've talked to a lot of liberals. I have friends in California. I'm a musician, so it's littered with liberals. They just don't listen. I mean, you can say facts, literal facts, and they'll just like shake their head. They can't take it. They can't handle it. So
I think you're right on that point, but I think if you start the conversation with politics, I agree it's going nowhere. But I found that, like, in situations where I haven't really brought it up with the person, and they get to know me and they see that I'm a normal person, and then later on it comes out that I'm a Trump supporter, they're like, wait, but you're, and then that's the only time where I've seen it kind of like, okay, maybe we have somewhere. It's because I feel like if you bring it up, they feel like they have to fall in lockstep with like a certain viewpoint, and they can't even consider what you're saying.
Yeah. Do you find that, are you able to be a Trump supporter in public?
It depends. I think some people are so far, they don't even want to listen once you say you're a Trump supporter to you at all. But if you approach them not starting out with Trump, but starting out talking about certain issues, you find out that you agree a lot. And then maybe they find out later you start talking about Trump specifically, and then it's easier because they are like, oh, you already agree with me on all these issues, so we can be friends. So that helps. I think that there are a lot of liberals that are searching for the truth. I don't want to like just sound like we're bashing all the Democrats. I have a lot of friends at work that I think they're very entrenched in the liberal movement, but they seem like they're really searching for the truth, and I think that's encouraging. And as long as they keep searching, and we all keep searching, we'll get there. I mean,
yeah, I love that. I love that.
All right, so before our camera gets overheated, we're going to sign off. But thank you all for giving us your very. She was afraid that we were going to get a copyright strike from the music that was playing on the loudspeakers
because we did get claims for that. So, Leah, is that the end of your show?
I have some other stuff.
We didn't talk about Comey. Does that matter?
Yeah, I don't really want to. I guess it's kind of stupid.
Can you just give him like a brief summation?
So,
just tell him what.
Yeah. Let's see. Bring up John Solomon's article. So, Comey, it's not my homie. Comey, it says, from the Hill, John Solomon, James Comey's next reckoning is imminent, this time for leaking. I don't know if this is one of those written ones.
Opinion contributor John Solomon writes, quote, "The Justice Department's chief watchdog is preparing a damning report on James Comey's conduct in his final days as FBI director that likely will conclude he leaked classified information and showed a lack of candor after his own agency began looking into his feud with President Trump over the Russia probe."
His own agency.
Solomon continues, quote, "Inspector General Michael Horowitz's team referred Comey for possible prosecution under the classified information protection laws, but Department of Justice prosecutors working for Attorney General William Barr reportedly have decided to decline prosecution, a decision that's likely to upset Comey's conservative critics."
This is hard for me to even get through, but everybody said, just wait for IG Horowitz, and so he came. He referred Comey for possible prosecution under the classified information protection laws, but under William Barr, the Attorney General, reportedly have decided, and I don't know if this is Barr. I mean, Barr would have to be at the top of this. It's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Have decided to decline prosecution. Prosecutors found the IG findings compelling, but decided not to bring charges because they did not believe they had enough evidence of Comey's intent to violate the law.
Wow.
But I think about this all the time. Like, if I'm speeding, the cop can pull me over, and he may give me a warning if I say I didn't mean to. But he has every right to give me a ticket if I'm caught speeding, whether I intended to speed or whether I didn't intend to speed. That is up to his discretion. Yeah. If he leaked the classified information, which he did, that is itself a criminal intent because he knows he's not allowed to leak classified information. He was the head of the singing FBI. If anybody should know you're not supposed to do that and know that you're breaking the law when you do that, it's James Comey.
So I was listening to an old interview that Live Wall Builders, I guess it was a podcast, did with Kent Hovind. He is a creationist that did videos in the 90s and even into the 2000s about creation, okay? And he had a church. And I knew that he was in jail. They jailed him for like 10 years, okay? And I found out today in the interview, he called them in 2015 from jail for an interview. And I got to hear why he was jailed for 10 years. He was jailed for 10 years because his employees at the church, okay, just people that worked at the church that get paid, filed, I guess, their tax returns kind of like the miscellaneous 1099s instead of having W-2s where Hovind's ministry withheld taxes throughout the year, okay? Now, Hovind had gone to the IRS and asked them, what do I need to do? Well, apparently you have to take classes and all sorts of things, which he didn't know. They never contacted. They never told him that you have to take classes in order to be able to withhold taxes from somebody throughout the year. Like, everybody gets a W-2. Your taxes are withheld at the end of the year. You do this reconciling with the IRS, whatever. It's all illegal to start with. But because he didn't withhold taxes from these people, even though they all paid their taxes at the end of the year, they threw him in jail for 10 years because of tax fraud.
But he didn't have criminal intent.
He actually wrote letters that are proven to the IRS asking what he needed to do, okay? Then they came after him and they seized his church's property, and he had $400,000 that because he didn't file correctly on that $400,000, the IRS then came and said, all that $400,000 is forfeit, and you have to give us the $400,000, even though the only thing he needed to do was file correctly on the $400,000. So that's like saying I make $50,000 a year, and I don't file correctly on that $50,000 a year, and the IRS comes and says, well, you didn't file correctly on that $50,000 a year, and now you have to forfeit that $50,000 to us, the IRS. It's totally illegal. It's totally wrong. This is what the IRS did to a man just because he was a creationist, and yet he literally served 10 years in jail. James Comey gets off the hook. it's all bipartisan, or it's all partisan. It's all politics. It's all what one person's view is about another. And it's the people that are really corrupt that get off, and there are the innocent that get prosecuted.
So I'm going to end on a happy note, and this is actually going to be my UK news too. My UK news. Stay-at-home mothers are the happiest. Women who don't return to work suffer less from feelings of boredom and worthlessness. Full-time mothers feel more contentment than career women. Findings will put further pressure on Tories' treatment of married couples.
Okay, I heard that wrong. Stay-at-home moms
are the happiest.
Suffer less from feelings. I thought they were saying they were bored and okay, I get it. I'm following. I'm with you.
They actually have less boredom.
Now makes total sense.
And worthlessness.
I'm with it.
Survey also finds married couples are happier than singles or cohabitees. Stay-at-home mothers are more likely to think their lives are worthwhile than women who go to work, a study of national happiness suggests. They tend not to suffer from boredom, frustration, or feelings of worthlessness, according to research on Britain's well-being. Full-time mothers gave the value of their lives a score of 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10 compared to 7.8 for people who work, so it's not too different. Data also revealed that married people are significantly more contented than cohabitees. The findings will add further pressure on the government to change the treatment of married couples where only one partner works. Couples with a full-time mother pay higher taxes in Britain than in almost every other Western country and lose badly in the benefit system, particularly over tax credits.
I wonder why.
And the coalition's drive to get more mothers to work has produced even more disadvantages. Under a new policy, parents will be giving up £1,200 a year for each child under the age of 5 to help with the cost of childcare, but only if both parents are in work. So I think that that's what they're saying, but you know, with you get these childcare credits, and I understand the logic behind that, but I would say that you know, that would offset your income because you have a parent and that is your child. Why can't you pay the parent staying at home with your kids?
Right.
You know?
Well, that's the same thing with public school choice or any kind of school choice. And we believe that you should not be paying for anybody's education.
But Trump believes that
if you are
homeschoolers
going
should get a government credit.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild. That is wild.
Right.
I mean, I love this man.
I do too. I do too.
But I don't want the government involved, and there's way too much paperwork.
But, okay, so there are lessers of evils. If we're going to have to pay for public schooling and we're going to have to pay all this money, then you should have a choice to take that money and put it towards your child's education however you see fit. Okay? So we're going to sign off. Thank you to everybody who came out to the Trump rally yesterday. Thank you to all of you who watched and shared our videos. Please watch and share, especially the small clips. Those are really important to share.
And those are shareable. Those are really shareable.
Definitely
like,
shareable.
If you can share anything, share all those little clips, you guys.
Right.
Your friends are going to like them. People are going to really, that's how you're going to change
they want
people.
Good news. Now, I want you to also keep your eye out over the next probably 4 or 5 days for more of these interviews to roll out because we are busy. And yet, so I think every day we're going to probably put out a couple of more.
We're going to die in 12 years. We're going to die in 12 years.
We're going to die in 12 years. It's very depressing, I know. Maia says no song. Do you know what I was thinking of? A song. No, I forgot it. It was like a song that we never sing. But I guess we can go with this one because this is just what came to, this might not be all of, I guess it is.
That's a lot of it.
Have we sung it recently?
No.
Okay. You want to start it?
No.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of his Spirit, washed in his blood. This is my story. No, we will sing less of the.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to do that?
I just know that's the chorus, so that's fine. I was just ready to go for it. No, it's fine.
Perfect submission, all is at rest. I and my Savior am happy and blessed, watching and waiting, looking above, filled with his goodness, lost in his love. This is my story,
This is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story. This is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. Death could not hold you, you're victorious. Praise to the risen King.
I don't think that's how it goes. Nope.
Oh, sorry.
Nope. That's a part we don't know then.
Oh, wait. So where's the visions of rapture?
I know it's not there.
Then go
you
back.
know, you know why it's so hard to Google lyrics? They're never right.
Go back.
Wait.
And go down.
Okay.
Lyrics, hymnal, right there. Try that one.
This one?
Well, right, try that one.
Sorry.
We're gonna get there.
Pause. This is how music goes on our show.
Yep.
If you're just joining us, they request songs.
Okay.
We're never practiced.
Where's the perfect submission?
We sang that one.
Oh, where's the visions of rapture? Oh, here we go. Yeah, perfect submission, perfect delight, visions of rapture now burst on my sight. Angels descending, bring from above echoes of mercy, whispers of love. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long.
All right, you guys. We want you to like, comment, and subscribe to both of our channels.
And Resistance Chicks.
Check us out on
notifications.
www.resistancechicks.com. Send us your letters to P.O. Box 107.
This is from Eric Busky, by the way.
Milford, Ohio. You lost the little topper of it that you need to find.
I'll find it back.
Milford, Ohio 45150. If you send us your letters, we will read them on air unless otherwise noted. I haven't gotten a letter in a really long time, and I need y'all to write us.
We still
have to do your hot noodles.
We should probably show them.
They're upstairs. So when we get a chance, we will do that.
Hot noodle challenge.
I think it was it Dale that sent that?
I think so.
We're gonna sign off, but we will be back here on Sunday.
For our European UK news, and I got a video to show you on that day. A German Trump supporter.
Okay,
I got a video of him. We got a video of him. We're gonna show you on Sunday.
We are gonna do that. It is gonna be awesome. Okay, you guys, have a wonderful, blessed rest of your day. Enjoy your Friday evening. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Love God. Watch our videos. Share the heck out of them.
Praise the Lord, y'all.
And remember that we wouldn't be Resistance Chicks without you guys. So thank you so much. God bless.
I was cold.